Was poppin', was poppin', was poppin'. Welcome, Nikki and Moose. I'm Nikki. That's Moose. What's up, Moose?
What up, y'all?
And welcome to the live show. I don't know if I have my air horns. I may have. I got the old school air horns. First and foremost, do us a favor. Like and share if you can. Okay, like and share if you can. Second, the new episode, I believe we're 135. 135 drop today. Okay, so go check that out. It's the audio experience. We're talking about how not to be broke as a content creator, which a lot of people actually tuned in and was like, yo, I need to hear about this. I don't know what I'm doing as far as the monetizing standpoint. I need to maximize what I'm doing the most, because what we covered was pretty much going over some of your favorite influencers, talking about their journey, but as well as some of the different ways to monetize, email list, that whole nine. You just guys got to check it out. It's kind of a vibe, all right? It's really, really dope. And then, of course, we ended it off with, should you take a break creating? And so, yeah, we'll talk about that. So, yeah, go check that out, of course. But Moose, how are you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling good. Had a good day today, and yeah, pretty good. Feeling good overall. This is a similar setup for you, though, because we've seen you in this position before. I feel like it's the same identical room
it's not the
that
same
you
room.
were in last
It's
time.
not the same room.
It's not?
It's not.
Okay.
It's a little different. But it's pretty much the same, like the same kind of vibe. If I could show a setup, I would. It's the same kind of vibes, but this is a different background because I'm actually in a higher room with a better view.
Hey.
So,
Hey.
yeah, for those people who don't know, I am in Mexico. So this is why you don't see the 17 sneakers. I'm not going to say 17 million, just 17. Some people are like, oh, how many you have? I have 17. All right, 17 sneakers. So this is why, but I'm in Mexico. Really good Wi-Fi, really good food. Tried a banana cake, really good. Try a lot of things, but we'll get into that. But besides that, yeah.
But walking.
Oh, I walked yesterday 13,000 steps. After this, I'm gonna go walk up the church. They have this really nice church, and I'm gonna get my steps in, eat, all that whole nine. Cause yes, this place will get you fat. This place, that's why I lost a few pounds, so I didn't feel like I gained too much. You know what I mean? Light work.
Nice balance.
Yeah.
That's good, man. That's good. Have a good time out there. Have a little extra fun for me. And if you can, please do sneak in a couple extra desserts as well. It's only right.
But that's why we ordered the banana cake and the cheese flan.
See, that's why I rock with you. Because like back in the day when you used to pour some out for the homies,
yes.
You just gotta have an extra dessert for Moose. Be like, yo, for the homie.
No, I
extra
got you.
dessert. Extra dessert for the homie.
I absolutely understand that. Absolutely. But Moose, what are we talking about today?
Man, let's get into it. And listen, for those of you tuning in, man, what's up? Let me know how you're feeling in the chats too, please. Actually, this is navy, so this is a tricky one, right? It's navy shirt, black collar. It's a little tricky, you know what I'm saying? It's 'cause I see you, Marshall said, Moose rocking the black again. I was very executive last week with the turtleneck, but it's getting a little warm today, so we went with a little off, a little tricky part, half navy, half black, just to make it work. But thanks, man. Thanks for bringing that up. Now, but for those of you in the chat, man, thanks for checking in with us. Let me know how you feel in the chat, man. Just quick little vibe check. Take a moment. Ask yourself, how am I feeling? Don't give an automated response or an automatic response. Put a 1 in the chat if you feel good. Put a 2 if you're like, honestly, I could be a little better. And that's okay, too. Whether it's a 1 or a 2, we rock with you. We support with you. Either way is fine. Share this with a couple of people as well, especially if you feel somebody needs to hear how to create content without overly stressing, because man, that is a battle for new creatives, new brands coming up, new business people trying to generate more leads and traffic to their, pages in their business. It's like, what? You mean to tell me I got to run a business, take care of my day-to-day, and create content? How do I do that? That's tough. And so we really want to have an open, candid conversation around how to be in the moment while also meeting your content creation goals. I think it's very important to do that. As you notice, Nikki is in Mexico, right? But the podcast still got released today. It still came out at 9:00. All the posts still went out. Nikki posted, I posted. Like, everyone is still meeting their content creation goals while managing life and doing all of these different things. Have we perfected it? Hey, look, everything is a work in progress. Nothing is ever perfect. But let me tell you what actually brought about the conversation, and shout out to everyone who's dropping their numbers in the chat. I see Fatima with a 1.2, say a little 1.5. I'm okay with a 1.5. I respect the 1.5. Can we get to like a 1.2 though? Can we do something get to and it's a little closer to 1 than it is to a 2 right in the middle? Let us know if you could get to a 1.2. I think that'll be great. And those of you who are in the 2s, I hope you feel better. I don't know how much, can we do anything next to make it feel better? But hey, I hope you feel better. At least I'll send the energy or the good energy your way, the positivity.
We love you. That's about all I can do.
We love you from afar. But now I was watching this interview. Usher was on Big Boy in the Neighborhood, and great interview, right? Came out last week or so. And they were talking about Usher's 20-year anniversary for the Confessions album, right? I remember that album. I'm like, dang, 20 years, coming up on 20 years. So they go back and forth around some ideas. It's the first album of this generation to do 10 million album sales. And it's actually creeping up on 20 million. So it's like the most R&B album sold in a really long time, with the exception of MJ, of course, who's done a gazillion of his own. But it's a big deal. So they're talking about doing a 20-year anniversary activation to push it over the 20 million mark. It's a good thing for R&B, but also just for him to introduce himself to the new generation with new business ideas, new concepts, and to the artistry altogether. The one thing that caught my attention, Nix, and I think you'll appreciate this, is that as he was talking to him, he said, the issue is throughout that entire time that we were creating the album, we have no footage. We have no documentation of us in the process of making this masterpiece that has sold close to 20 million albums. And so immediately they referenced Kanye, right? Yeah. When everyone saw the Genius documentary, the reason why everyone was so captivated by that thing, and it's worth watching 2 or 3 times, honestly, it's because there is so much footage that's chronicled throughout an entire almost 10 or 15-year run, and they came back and stitched some things together. But Usher, on the other hand, has nothing. Now, of course, they joked around. They said, you're young enough where you could probably go back and just make a scene with an older camera like you got it. But dang, imagine that. You have nothing to showcase for your brand. So I said, okay, let's talk about not making that mistake. Whatever our 20 million is going to be, I don't care if it's 20, right? Whatever our version of that 20 million is, how do we make sure we're not making that same mistake? And there's a balance of being in the moment to be present to what needs to be done so that you can be great at your craft, but also having the thoughtfulness to say, I got to click record. I got to set this up. I got to make this happen. So I just wanted to have that conversation with you, man. Like, what does it take in the very beginning stages, just the most basic and simple things, to get yourself in position to document the process, be present to the moment, so that eventually you could have some things to look back on?
So first, I know a lot of people are instantly going to think like, oh, this is boring. I don't have to document it. I don't feel comfortable in front of the camera, that whole 9. I think sometimes it's just a matter of just grabbing the phone and just showcasing certain things. It doesn't necessarily, when we think of documenting, we instantly think about like somebody following us and being like, okay, everything that I'm doing. If I'm writing, do that. If I'm eating, do that. If I'm talking on the phone, do that. And maybe eventually that could be the situation, but at least get comfortable with taking your phone and just being like, okay, let me go here, let me get the video part, let me show that I'm on live, let me show my setup, that whole nine, show the view if I got a view, and then that's it. I'm not talking, even though but I'm just explaining to you guys. I'm not talking or anything. I'm just showing what is happening, because there's going to be certain events that, even just for your own personal reason of just like, I want to look back and see it, so you have those memories. But then as you realize, when it comes to your brand, that these memories are going to go side by some of the things that you do with your brand that would look good for, let's say, a Throwback Thursday, would look good as far as setting up a story, right? So like an instant idea is, so shout out, I create digital wealth, right? So if I was to document maybe the idea coming into my head and me writing that down, right? That I can now say a story about the particular shirt, right? And we tend to not, and I'm still, even myself is still getting used to the documenting side. Even though I love creating content, I don't necessarily create content from a documenting side as easy as if it was just brand new stuff, right? I'm starting to get in the groove of like, okay, we're out here, document this, that, and the third. When you do have a new idea, at least write it down, take a screenshot of it, because you don't know necessarily when that's going to come to life. And that's just some things that we just have to be in mind. Like, we don't know when things are going to come to life. We don't know when certain things are going to need footage. We shouldn't be in the mindset of, okay, when it's relevant, I should create something. We should already have like a certain amount of content in the clip to be like, shoot, I could just now tell a story. I could do a voiceover. I have this. I could show a voiceover, right? I have, and it could be just pictures. For those people who are not too comfy with the video, it could be just pictures. If you do have video, even better, right? But it could be just pictures, of just showing just time, like a timeline of certain things. So I think every single day you should exercise, what have I documented today? What have I, from a written standpoint, what have I written down? Some things that I think about, some things that I've done, right? From a video side, what have I recorded, right? And then from, a picture side, what stills have I taken? I'm going to be very intentional with, when I get this dog, because we're speaking this into existence, that no problems are going to happen, right? When I get this dog, I'm being intentional with, okay, we're going to document, getting the dog. We're going to document the first incident this dude is going to do, because he's a dog. He's going to do something, and I'm not going to be happy, right? We're going to document just the good times, the bad times. We're just going to figure it out. And I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it yet, but I know that I can do something with it, because everything on social media can have a life, right? It could be something big if we just understand, first we got to document, then we have to storytell.
Man, that's so good. Yeah, I like that, especially because I love showing credibility and how long you've been doing something with the timeline of footage. Like, think about it like this, for those of you who are listening. If what we're talking about wasn't important to be able to chronicle or really document the journey more than the end result or where you are right now, Facebook wouldn't have created something that says, oh, look back on these memories. Instagram wouldn't have created that feature where it says, look back on the stories that you shared or the posts that you shared this time last year or over the years, right? There's something about that nostalgic moment or that feeling of having you relive it for your own personal reason. I think it gives you that opportunity to sit back and reflect and see how far you've come, or remember what you felt here, or remember what you did there. I think that's always something that is great to experience. But the other piece, from a business standpoint, the way I see it, think about showing the credibility when you see a company that puts on their sign or wherever there is established in 1954, right? They make
That's good.
sure to let you know that they've been around a while because it's a sign of credibility. And so what I hope you walk away with from today is, oh, I need to do this not because I'm already at my final destination, my brand is successful, people are paying attention to my business, I have a large audience, I'm making a ton of sales, and so I need to document how great my life is. No, what I hope you walk away with is, oh, I need to do this now so that I can show the journey, the development, how we've gotten better and how long I've been doing this. That's a part of it that I think is so important too. When you show the progression, like imagine if you were someone who was creating content when flip phones were out and your thing is content. And you're like, okay, look at me with the flip phone, look at me with the Razor, look at me with the Sidekick, look at me with the BlackBerry, and then the first iPhone. And like, imagine that. I think that still shows, oh wow, this person has been in the game talking content, and it's not just because it's relevant or it's being talked about now. No, this is what you do. So for those of you who are always thinking about that measurement of credibility, a great piece is just hit record. And I love the simplicity of what you said. Like, hey, just document what's happening around. Don't even start talking yet. Like, just show what's happening.
Yeah, no, you know what's been trending lately? I don't know, especially from what I've been seeing with the AI stuff. It's like with ChatGPT, they were saying, I just told, we're going to go through 30 days of, me telling ChatGPT to gain me $1,000 a week or $10,000 a month, right? We're going to go through 30-day journey. And people, what's cool about this part where you're documenting the journey, people are now, it builds that curiosity. Yo, what's going to happen? Is this person going to succeed or is this person going to fail? Right? And now you're getting an audience of just those people who are either rooting for you or is like, yo, is this real? Or boom, boom. So if I was to do, and this is one of the ideas I was thinking about doing is like, okay, 30 days of telling, well, actually somebody's done that where 30 days of doing exactly what ChatGPT is telling me from my social media, right? I was going to take it from a different standpoint, but 30 days of exactly what ChatGPT is telling me to do to grow my social media to this amount of followers. And so people are tuning in as far as like, okay, what is this content today? Is it going to fall off? Is it going to honestly work with this one? And the great thing about that is that it's instantly working because people are instantly interested in the journey. So he set it up, even not necessarily for that storyline, but he knew, okay, AI is trending, so I'm going to now do a journey where it is, AI related and saying, yo, I'm going to do this. So it can almost, I wouldn't say instantly, but almost better your chances of getting that goal to be succeeded. So it's really cool if you go about it in that way, from documenting of saying, yo, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? This is not something that you have to do all the time when it comes to the documentation. This is something that you can do within a season. And within that season, you're going to gain the audience. But my thought process with that is, when you're doing something like that, what is going to be the next step after that season is done? Where are we taking them afterwards? And that may be just another conversation within itself. But that is another form that won't necessarily maybe stress you so much out, because it's not something that you have to do every single day forever, right? Because if you think about documenting your life, you're like, okay, every day, like every day, like I have to show something every day, or I have to record something every day. No. This one, in this way where you're showing the journey, this is the beginning, day 1, middle, midpoint, and end, day 30, day 60, 90, a year, however you want to go about it. But people are now looking at it and you're thinking about it like a show, what's going to happen? So you're creating your own show.
I feel like that's a tactical element too in what is almost storyboarding, right? Where it's like, okay, and by the way, I want to get into this a little bit down the line, but we talked about being present while capturing all of this stuff because I know, and if you resonate with this, by the way, let me know in the chats because I feel, at least for me, early on in my days, I always felt I had to choose between one of the two. I was either present in the moment and I was fully engaged in everything that was happening around me, or I was documenting what was happening. I couldn't do both. And so let me know if you too struggle with something like that or at some point struggle with that, because I want to be able to talk about that. But Nix, I feel that what you just described is an element of storyboarding, or it's almost planning and preparation for, all right, what are the shots do I want to get? What's the story that I want to say? Or the message that I want to put out, and what are the pieces of this experience that I need to capture so that I'm not just letting my camera run all day and I'm running into issues of storage and having to, again, chronicle and label these things appropriately. Like, I feel the best storytellers or the best content creators are the people who really know how to engage with an audience. They really know how to capture the right footage, not just all the footage, but the right footage, the right amount of footage, the footage that can elicit the emotion or show the experience or really capture what's happening. And then, like you said, they can engage with other elements like the audio or the voiceover to bring it home. And so, do you feel that a nice balance to that, or I don't know how you would describe it, but is there a balance of, okay, one of the things that will help in being present is to prepare ahead of time? What's the message or storyline that I'm going for? And then I start picking my shots or whatnot.
I think that's more in advance, to be honest with you.
Like advanced level, you mean?
Yeah, like a little bit of advanced level, right? Just because like you can have an idea, but sometimes until you are in the to make it sound like an animal, and until you're in the environment, in the actual habitat, right? You don't necessarily know what shots are going to work sometimes, right? Now you can plan what we call a shot list, right? You can have the best thought process of, okay, you know what? So if I was talking about, let's say, tomorrow, right? And I understand what's going on. There's a schedule for tomorrow, right? Or for those people, and think about it from, I already have my day planned out. I have my meetings, I have my errands, I have all these things. So now you're thinking about, okay, from a shot list standpoint, I'm showing myself. I may set up the tripod, put my phone up, show that I'm going outside of the door. Then I'm showing that I'm getting inside of the car, right? Boom, I'm going to my situation, right? Then I'm going to show little bits of the, of the meeting. Cool. Now I'm going to leave the meeting, shake hands, kiss babies real quick. And I'm leaving the meeting. I'm going to grab me a bagel downstairs, right? Boom, head back upstairs, and so I'm already understanding what's happening. I can set those things up. I say that, but I already know that some people are going to be like, well, I'll probably look dumb setting up those shots, right? It's crazy because actually it's more normal when you take out a tripod and put your phone there than what it was before. Before, you were scared. Well, us New Yorkers were scared to maybe set up our phone somewhere and think that, hey, somebody may grab my phone. Like, it's a
Somebody
wrap.
snatch it.
Right. You get a nice
Yeah.
phone, this is a whole situation. Now, nowadays, everybody is putting up their phone somewhere to take the shot, to grab something, right? So that's one. Like, don't feel as if when you are setting up some of these shots and it's just you, that you look dumb. You don't. You actually are extremely normal. But yes, if you have an understanding of it, there's a schedule, there's all these things, you can pre-make your shot list. But I would still leave room for, creativity. I will still leave room for things that you may not have thought about that would be a really good shot. Because at the end of the day, especially if we are chronicling our days in that sense, what is the story that we're trying to depict? Are we trying to say, okay, this is the life of, a seamstress. This is the life of a CEO mom. This is the life of a stay-at-home dad. This is, let me take them through that. And if I don't necessarily like what I have for the whole day, that's okay. You know what? We have tomorrow. But maybe by the end of the week, let me gather all the footage that I had from this week and can I tell a story? Right? I can from a bare minimum put some of the stuff up on stories, because this is now a best way to kind of practice this is stories, right? Whether it's Facebook stories, Instagram stories, YouTube stories, right? Stories gives you that organic kind of vibe of let me story tell my day. It's literally called stories for a reason, right? So this kind of helps you get in the groove of like, okay, how do I, get in the rhythm of documenting what I'm doing? But from a standpoint of, okay, let me prepare my shot list, I would say if you can, yes. If you can't, if that really like, oh my God, that's a little bit too much, I would say just live in the moment and be willing to take out your camera more than you normally do.
I love that. I love that. Hey, shout out to everyone who's on the check-in, man. Appreciate you all for rocking with us on this Tuesday evening. We call this one Content Conversations. I don't know. I just felt it was like, man, let me play off of the words that start with the letter C. We just have a nice casual dialogue about content and how to really make this thing work. Uh, one of the things that I will add to that too, Nix, is that a lot of times we think we have to create something new. And for a lot of people, especially those of you who are in business, meaning that you have business activities happening, don't feel like you have to do anything new. You just have to set the camera up. As you mentioned, Nick, just put it on a tripod, put it on a cup. I've done all types of crazy things. Just put it on because you're already doing it. And the best way to project or translate that authenticity or that credibility, all the different things that we're talking about, is to have yourself or to allow yourself to be caught in the moment. A part of the things that you already do. It doesn't have to be something new. Now, here's the part that I definitely want you to speak to a little bit too is, I know one of the things for me, I sometimes start to say, all right, from an engagement standpoint, I know there's an element of consistency that's important, meaning that you want to show up every day. You want to keep content rolling. You want to do all these things. But at the same time, you want to keep it fun and engaging. I feel that some of the better creators, they almost keep you guessing. You check in because it's a show. It's like, oh, what are they up to today? What do they got going on today? And so I've always thought about one part of it. It was, I don't care about the audience selfishly. And I know that sounds crazy, but sometimes you have to get to that point. You just got to create just for you, just so that you can build your muscle or your tolerance for doing something every day. And there was a period of time where I was on stories religiously because I just wanted to get it out. And then at some point I said, okay, maybe I'm getting to that, intermediate expert level where it's not just about doing it now, it's about doing it with intentionality and doing it in a way that's really engaging to the audience so that they do feel that they're tuning into something new, something that's advancing. So I guess I wanted to speak with you about what's the balance of those two? What's the balance of, if my days look almost exactly the same day to day, do I just keep showing you me walking out the house, going to another meeting, getting a cup of coffee, jumping in the way? By the way, when Nikki said a bagel, that sounded like a real day in the life of Nikki. She went downstairs, got the bagel. I'm like, oh, she's talking about her life. That sounds about her. But I'm just saying, do we show the same thing? What's the remix of saying? Because I know somebody's thinking that, like, okay, Nix, but I don't want to keep showing the same thing every day. How do I remix it? How do I add an element or a flavor to it? What's the next piece on that?
So there's still something that is a change. So for me, right? I can only speak for me. I do majority of my stuff at home, and I have the same setup. I look at the same things. I take the same walks, right? But the crazy thing is, by you doing something consistently every single day can remind somebody to do something. So
Mm.
meaning, if you go and you drink your coffee or your tea or your hot chocolate or whatever you drink in the morning, right? Somebody would be remember, oh snap, I didn't drink my drink today. You know, set up, you sit down, you at your desk, you setting up and things like that. Like, yo, did I, write your to-do list? Yo, you know what? I need to do a to-do list. Maybe this is why so and so is doing so well, because they have a to-do list. Let me do, like, your habits are somebody else's desire of having those habits. You feel me?
Mm.
Like, it's not boring to them to see what you do on a day-to-day basis. I truly believe that some of the things that I do is beyond boring. I go for walks and everything like that, and people are actually tuning in to like, yo, what's on Nikki's screen? That even though I look at some of the similar things, there's still some things that I look that are a bit different, or that it gives them a different building block of how to do something, right? So yes, in our minds, we're doing the same things. We're doing something that we deem is not that exciting, especially if we are behind a desk, if we are going to the same routes, doing the same things. But it's there is still one or two things that we're doing different. Some people may look forward to, what are you wearing? Those little simple things. Yo, what are you wearing? Oh, you went to work out. What are you wearing for the workout? Oh snap, it must have been a crazy workout because you're actually sweating more than I've ever seen you do, right? Great example. Moose, when it was Ramadan, he went on these like midnight workouts, right? And so we were tuning in to see what time he was going to work out. It's one. Oh, it's even past Ramadan. He's still working out. Like, it's the little things that you would think that is not really important that we're checking for on being like, oh, he did stay consistent. Oh, wait, did the baby make him stop? Like, what is he doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and we notice when you're not doing it every single time. Yo, you used to be doing this. You all right? You good? Is the baby? Is this? What's happening? Are you traveling a lot? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so for us, it's boring. For them, it's not.
Yeah, that's so good. I'm about to keep showing more of my workouts then, because I literally thought about it the other day. I'm like, yo, am I gonna keep showing? All right, let me show you my watch and my calories and
Yeah.
my heart rate. I was like, I guess I got to. I mean, I am still working out, but that's an interesting point about that, because you're right. There's new elements. I want you to talk about intentionality though, because it's one thing to do something, it's another thing to plan and specifically choose that part of your day to show consistently, right? And here's how I translate that. I've always looked at branding or marketing to first start at values. If there is something that you value, if there's something that you're intentionally trying to put forth in front of the audience's eye, you notice even with the camera, like if I were to say, all right, I want you to focus on this, and I don't know, I guess eventually I become blur, right? Like I get out of
Yep.
focus,
Yep.
and this is the thing that shows up. And so, yeah, you could say, oh, well, look at the setup, the lights. Oh, I see a little bit of his computer at the bottom of the screen, but the focus is this. And that's done with intentionality. I know it's a crazy example, but how can we as brands, as creatives, even as business owners, start to look at this entire map that is our world, or the things that happen in our day, and say, okay, this is the thing that I'm going to really put emphasis on showing? Because I do believe it starts with one thing. It starts with, like you said, every day I'm going to show my walk. Every day I'm going to show my morning routine, or every day I'm going to show with that. Now, it's good to do it just because you're doing it. And if you generally enjoy it, great. But at some point, you go to that next tier where it's saying, okay, I noticed that when I do this, this is the response. And so I'm going to make sure I emphasize this consistently. I'm going to loop it in a way that it starts maybe doing something else. It's a cause and effect almost relationship. How are you picking those parts? Is there a method to that? Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think that's where it starts to become fun, and it goes from branding to marketing to business development and sales and money making. Like that's the cool stuff about it.
I think you pick up what is important to you at first, right?
Mm-hmm.
For my brand builders and business owners, you're thinking about maybe something that I have to promote, right? And how am I showcasing that here, every single day? So like, for instance, I'm gonna bring up the shirt again, and I'm gonna drop the link actually. Hello, let's talk about it.
Hello.
Createpressure.com. So I create digital wealth, right? So when I first got the shirt and when I first got the hoodie, I was intentional with making sure that it is going to be on this podcast. When I went to do a podcast in Dallas, that's coming out actually tomorrow, the BWR podcast, go check that out, right? I made sure it was there, so sometimes you're documenting without necessarily saying anything, right? Like, I want to show that I'm actually wearing what is on createpressure.com, right? So I'm walking down the airport, and I'm sitting down with some of the the Create Pressure stuff, with the Create Pressure and Deeper Than the Brand stuff, So that right there, because there's a focus on, I want you to know that there's some gear out. You're going to intentionally see me in that, and for me, that's kind of like documenting, this is where you can see that the gear is very present, right? Now, if I want to talk about, and I normally try to stay within a pocket of like 1 to 3 things, right? So especially on Tuesdays, if we're talking about, the podcast drops, type 1 if you already listened to the podcast, type 2 if you are about to listen to the podcast. Let me know those things, right? But first thing in the morning, you're going to probably see, hey, you know what day it is? It's podcast day, right? And so you're going to see that on my story. You're going to see the trailer of the story of the podcast, right? We're going to drop a live of it. And so the focus is going to be podcast day, right? Because that's the whole thing. And then I may show some things here and there, but the focus, you can have a focus of the day. The focus is going to be podcast day. Then the next day can be whatever, and then a twinkle here, there of the podcast. Next day, I may show a little bit more about Mexico, but then there's still going to be a twinkle of the podcast, You can have your focus of the day being intentional with making sure that you tell people the story or you show these things, but you can have multiple things because we're human, and so we're doing multiple things at the same time, and there's nothing wrong with that because you are the story, right? And always remember that you are the story. So you're showing all different sides of you at times. Now, when we're talking about our brand or our business, yeah, we got to be a little bit more focused. But if we are the brand, then we can show, what am I doing for self-care? What am I like? Right before the live, I was on the hammock, right, chilling. I could have documented that, showing a little bit. But now that I know that I do that, what do you think tomorrow I'm going to do? I'm going to document me being on the hammock, because now I'm understanding my routine of like, okay, this is what I do to relax. This is what I do to chill out. This is what I do, boom, 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 right? Now, once again, I'm not saying only show your food. Nikki, the only habit I have is the food. I'm not saying only show your food, but there's nothing wrong with showing your food. Just show more stuff. You feel me? There's a lot of people who are going through just a chill mode of like, this is what I'm eating. There's people who are going through a health journey. This is what I'm eating, right? I appreciate all of it. I appreciate the chubby food journey, and I appreciate the healthy food journey. I go more towards the chubby journey, But I do appreciate the healthy thing because I'm like, oh, that doesn't look that bad. Maybe when I'm in that stage, I could try that, you know? So what I'm saying is, once again, you don't know the joy, the curiosity, the emotion that a person may feel when they do see your content, especially if you're trying to be a little bit intentional with what you are going to show.
Man, that's so good. I love that. Shout out to everyone in the chats, man. We see you with the super chat. Definitely appreciate it. Brother Joe said, "What
Yeah,
up, fam? Y'all are dope creators, and you all have changed how I do content. Let's go." We appreciate that, man. That's what's up. Folks, if you got any questions, start dropping those in the question or in the comments. We'll circle back towards the end and we'll start answering those. So if you got any questions, anything related to content, whatever, you know what we're about. We're happy to add some value to that and speak to it towards the end. I want to talk to maybe the final piece, though, because I think this is where I think we've taken you through, like we said, beginner mode, intermediate mode, expert mode. But there's one piece that for sure is expert through and through. And I think it's getting to a level that no matter what you're doing, no matter what's going on, no matter where you are, no matter how you're feeling, even, it's the pivot game is strong, right? And really, what I mean by that is you know how to pivot off of what's happening to bring it back or make the connection to the message, the product, the service that you're trying to keep out in front for people, right? It could be anything. I know one thing that everyone was reposting last week was the Giannis clip. Giannis said, "Oh, I don't see that. I don't see a season as a failure. Do you see your promotion?" Boom. And
that
I
was
saw
so good.
everybody.
That was
Yeah,
so
it was a
good.
great clip, though. I ain't even
You
gonna
know
lie.
that's my thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing's a loss.
Yeah, no, that was a great clip. But I'm saying, and I started, and you see the consistency of it. And again, as a creator, as a creative entrepreneur, as a business person, as a consumer, you have to look at what are other people doing. And when you start to see the consistency in something, you shouldn't just say, "Oh man, that's so dope." You should say, "Okay, I know that's dope, but why? Why are these people choosing to put out the same message? And why are people making the connection? How are people making the connection differently?" And you started to see people starting to write their own caption and maybe connecting it to what they do. It's really a pivot off of, let me leverage somebody else's credibility. Let me use something that's trending that everyone is paying attention to, but let me also bring it back to what I do. Because that's the difference between someone who's just sharing for the sake of posting or for the sake of sharing, and someone who's saying, "Okay, no, I like that. How can I use that though?" You know, again, I think human nature is to always say, "What's in it for me?" And in a humble way. I'm not saying do it in a malicious way, but you want to think about how can you use what's out there to your advantage instead of just being a part of the mix. So I don't know if you got any advice for that, but I know you're definitely good at being able to listen to a book and say, "Oh, okay, that's what it says, but how about this, how I'm gonna use it?" So I don't know what's the ingredients to that, but I've definitely have noticed that the best creators, they don't feel the pressure to have to do something new every day.
Mm-hmm.
They use the internet as their playground,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, "Man, if I got billions of people posting content every day, what's the issue with me using something like that and making sure the messaging is aligned with what I represent and what I'm trying to do, and just put that right back out? Or I can use things in my own environment, things that are happening around me, things that I'm learning, and just bring that message back in line." Yeah, speak to that for a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm all for user generated content, right? I'm all for the thought of I'm not trying to create something new every single time. I'm probably gonna look right after this, probably gonna look at some content and actually post it tonight that I may not have created. I'm gonna try to see if I can find something funny. If not, then I'm just probably gonna repurpose something. But we like stuff just as humans. We like stuff. If we like it, 9 out of 10 times our audience is going to like it too. Now, I always do say stay in brand. So if there's something, and mind you, we can hit people from 3 angles: motivation, education, entertainment, right? We can hit these people with these 3 angles within our brand. If we see something that motivated us, we can say that, and then in the caption say how it applies to our brand, right? Two, from an educational standpoint, we could teach them something, right, that we learned, that we read, that we saw, that we just want to repost. What did we learn from this particular thing? Or from an entertainment side, you may see something funny. You may see something that made you seriously get out of your anxiety or something to that standpoint, right? And you can post that and you can break that down, how that relates, right? So, oh, there is a lot of music going on right now. This is great. So always think about it within the week, maybe doing it 2-3 times a week. And I don't think that's a lot. And I think that takes also the pressure off of you of creating something every single day. But, how can we take other people's content and put it into our own, as well as that keeps us relevant. That keeps us in the know. That makes people see like, oh, they're not just so self-centered about their brand and what they do. They're actually looking at other people and they're being thought leaders in their own market. And so, 2-3 times a week using other people's content. Please give them credit. I will say that. Please do give them credit, but put your own spin to it. A really good thing that has been people love, if you're on TikTok, there is the stitch situation, right? If you're on Instagram, you got the remix, right? You could do the remix in several ways, and both on TikTok and IG, where it is like you can do green screen kind of vibes. You can do side by side. You can do it right after the person says something. So look into those ways as well without necessarily just reposting it. You could just take that, and it actually gives you, especially if it's something that's trending, that people are really looking into, like you can actually take advantage of that exposure.
I love that. I love that. That's so good, man. Our good brother here dropped a comment. He said, I do gourmet popcorn. What's the best way to stick out and make sure my audience taps in?
First off, let me have some. Feel me?
Right. Yeah.
Let me have some to see how gourmet it is. No, play. No, so with product, you have to tell a story. So if we're talking about from a documenting standpoint, how are we making the popcorn? Like, how much popcorn are you making? How as you're making the popcorn and you're individually bagging it, how it shows how much is available that day. Or you're showing the shipments that in shows that, this person actually goes and shipping shipments. Let me go get mine, right? This is where we're selling without selling. We're giving brand awareness to our stuff when we're documenting things like that, to where, like, what is my process of what I do with this popcorn, right? If somebody buys it and let's say it's an online situation, right? Showing that the order come in. So whether you're on Shopify or whatever, we all get that little notification. Can I take a screenshot of that, right? Then can I show the label come out? Then can I show me packing it? Can I show me shipping it? Boom, and it shows the process of how their order is being taken serious. Or we can go back to what flavors, how am I picking my flavors? Do your flavors change every week? Do your flavors change every month? Do they even change? If they do change, you can show a whole guap of different flavors, and you can pick out them throughout, within the month. And now you're showing this is the new menu. And this is now informing the people, this is what is going to be available. But also, you're actually doing what you have to do. I got to pick new flavors. Let me just document me doing that, make it fun a little bit, show what I could do, and boom, there it is. So that's a few ideas that comes off the top of my head. I really think of ideas off the top of my head. It's crazy. Thank me later. Send a super chat as a tip. You feel me? Go do that.
I love it. Yeah, I know. I don't know if it's just because I love food, but anytime I think of anyone who has a product based business, especially that of some sort of food, right? I always want to remind them that remember that humans eat with their eyes first. So you have such a unique advantage in that people are they're thinking about what to eat. They're constantly looking for different things to eat. So simply just doing something and showing them, as you mentioned, the coming together of this gourmet thing that you do, and just like doing that little spin, like here's the effects, and then there's a final product. I think, man, that is always so. It has that wow effect, and people will instantly be tapped in just because they're looking. There's a crazy connection. I don't know if how it works, but it's the eyes and connecting to, what you're in the mood for, what you want to eat, and then obviously that translates into other things. So for sure, in addition to what has been said, I would say remember that people eat with their eyes first, man, for sure.
No, that is a fact. That is all the way a fact. I have definitely ate with my eyes and then definitely got disappointed. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
no, for sure.
that's real. That's real.
All right, people. Look, I don't know if you can hear the mariachis going off. It's about to be Cinco de Mayo, so over here in Mexico, they going. They're not going as crazy as in America, right? But they are playing a lot of music. So that is. Oh, I'll email you to send y'all a box. Hey, we're getting free popcorn, people. Hold on, where's the air horns on that one? Get free popcorn. Get free popcorn. I mean, no. Shout out to Gerald. Hopefully that does, that does help. And for anybody, this is a slight plug for anybody who needs that type of brainstorming. Tomorrow on IG at 9:30, when we have content conversation. Tomorrow is content therapy. All right.
There it is.
So where I am helping people come up, do the same thing. You give me, hey, I need help with this. What about this? How do I create content with this? I struggle with this. I'm helping you live. We do kind of a one-on-one situation where you come live with me, or you can ask questions in the little question bubble for my introverts. I got y'all too. So a little plug on that. But Moose, this was a great conversation. Appreciate you.
Man, I appreciate that. Yeah, thanks for adding your perspective and your expertise. Because I was like that Usher thing. Just to bring it back to that, I'm like, dang, no,
Yeah. Yeah.
nothing at all. So yeah, hopefully this is a reminder for us not to make that mistake. Because we're in this thing. If we're in it to obviously be bigger and better and more successful down the line. So yeah, document your process, y'all.
Yep. So, wait, how'd you do that air horn? What do you mean? This air horn? This. Shout out to Ecamm, proud sponsor of the podcast. Feel me? They got air horns when I don't necessarily have all my equipment. We gonna get these air horns in somehow, some way. Okay.
It's
Actually,
important.
that was the OG air horn. Like we used to use that a lot. So, don't get it twisted. But we're out, people. Do me a favor. One, like this so the algorithm could love us, right? So like this, whether you're watching this on Facebook, whether you're watching this on YouTube, like this, right? Two, go listen to the podcast. Three, go listen to Creator Ave, which is on the podcast channel, right? That comes out every Friday because it is the replays of some of your favorite live ones. So definitely go check that out, right? And then four, tomorrow, 8 p.m., Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, full video version, because clearly you like videos because you're on this live. Full video
All right.
version of the new episode drops. I'm excited about it. This is a really good episode. Like I said, it seems like you guys need this information, so we're paying attention, people. We're paying attention. And we love you guys. We love you. Thank you. And shout out to my mom. Hi, Mom. We love you too. We love you too.
Hey, mom.
Hey, Mom. All right, people, we are out. You know what we're going to say?
Peace, y'all.